Hello everyone, welcome back. In our previous videos, we have covered the basic concepts of number system. Now it's time to move on to one of the most useful and scoring topic, that is squaring techniques. In this video, I will show you the simple tricks to find the square of the numbers. Now let's start squaring techniques, that is square of a number whose unit digit is 0, that is the last, that means the last digit is 0. Any number whose last digit is 0, we double the number of zeros at the right side of the number, and in the left of the zeros we write the square of the non-zero numbers, that is the rest digits, which is in the left of the zeros. I will explain you these squaring techniques with an example question, that let's find the square of 50. We have to find the square of 50. That is, let's do what we have to do. First we have to double the number of zeros, which means we can write two zeros, and then what we have to do, we have to do the square of the rest digit. 5 square, what is the value of 5 square? The value of 5 square is 25. Then these digit we have to write here. Then what we can say, square of 50 is 50 square is equals to 2500. Now let's take one more example, that is find the square of 60. What we can do for 60, let's double the zeros. Then what we can do for 6 square is equals to 36. Then what we can write, 3600. This is the square of 60. Now if you want to take one more example, like what we can take 120 square, we have to find the value of 120 square. That is, what we can do, we have to double the number of zeros, that is two zeros. Then what we have to do, 12 square, which is equals to 144, which means the square of 120 is equals to 14400. Now let's continue with another squaring technique, that is the square of a number whose unit digit is 5. Let's understand the squaring technique with an example question, that is we have to find the square of 45. In this, what we can do, first of all, what we have to do, for the unit digit we have to take square of unit digit, that is 5 square is equals to 25. And then what we have to do, then we have to remove these 5 and multiply the next whole number to the rest digit. What will be the next whole number for the rest digit? 4 into 5. This is the next whole digit for this number. Then 4 into 5, which is equals to 20. Then what is the square value of 45, which we can write 25. Now same one, we can consider one more example, that is we have to find the square of 55. So for what we have to do in first step, we have to do the square of unit digit, that is 5 square, which is equals to 25. Then what we have to do, we have to multiply the next whole number, that is next whole number is 6 to the rest digit. What is 5 6 are 30. Then the square of 55 is equals to 25. In this way we can find the value of any square ending with 5. The next squaring technique we have is square of a number whose unit digit is 1. First what we have to do, we have to write the square of the previous number and then add the previous number to the number whose square is being asked. So I will explain you this squaring technique with an example question, that we have to find the square of 41, that is 41. What we have to do in the first step, we have to write the square of the previous number. What will be the previous number of these 41 is 40. We have to write the square of these number. In second step, what we have to do, we have to add the previous number and the number whose square is being asked, that is 41. Then we have to add these two numbers. The sum of these two numbers is 81. The value of 40 square is 1600. In the last step, what we have to do, we have to do the add sum of these two numbers, which will be 1681. Now I will explain you this squaring technique with one more example, that is we have to find the square of 51. That is what we have to do in first step, we have to take the square of the previous number, that is 50 square. Next step, what we have to do, we have to add the number and the number whose square is being asked. In the third step, what we have to do, we have to add the square of the previous number, that is 2500, and this is 101. We have to do the addition of these two numbers, which is 2601. Next squaring technique we have, that is square of a number whose unit digit is 9. The difference is that here we have to subtract instead of addition, which means in previous squaring technique, that is the square of a number whose unit digit is 1, right? In that squaring technique, what we have done, like example, we have done that 41 square is equals to 40 square. Now 40 plus 41, right? 40 plus 41, what we have done, this is 81, this is 1600. What we have done in previous, we have done addition of these two numbers, but in these squaring technique, squaring of a number whose unit digit is 9, what we have to do, in the place of addition we have to do subtraction. So let's understand these with an example question, that is 39 square. So 39 square, how we can write 39 square as, we can write 39 square as 40 square minus 40 plus 39. So 40 square is equals to 1600 minus 79. The answer of this is equals to 1521. The next squaring technique we have is the square of a number whose unit digit is either 2 or 8. Now let's first understand the square of a number whose unit digit is 2. What we have to, in first step, what we have to do, we have to write nearest multiple of 10. That is, if the number is like I will explain you this with an example question. We have to find the square of 52. Then what is the nearest multiple of 52? We know that is 50. Then what we have to do in the second step, we have to do the addition of, like we have to add the twice of the sum of the given number, that is 52, and the nearest multiple of 10. What is the nearest multiple of 10? That is 50. So now let's understand these with an example question. Take the square of the nearest multiple of 10, that is 50 square, which is equals to 2500. This is first step. In second step, what we have to do, we have to add these, which is equals to 50 plus 52, which is equals to 102, 2 of 102. Then we have to multiply these, 402. Then we have to do the addition of these and this. So 2500 plus 204, which is equals to 2704. Now let's continue with another squaring technique, that is we have that to find the square of a number whose ending number is 8. First, square the number to the nearest multiple of 10, then subtract the twice of the sum of the number, and then the nearest multiple of 10. These both are same, but what we have to do here, what we have done the addition of these and these, but in the squaring technique of the number ending with 8, what we have to do in place of addition, we have to do subtraction. So first step, that is 58. What is the nearest multiple of this? This is nearest multiple is 60. What we can do, 60 square, which is equals to 3600. Now next what we have to do in the second step, what we have to do, that is minus 2 of 58 plus 60. So what is the addition of these numbers? Minus 2 of 60, 50, that is 118. 2 8s are 16, 6 1, 2 1s are 2, 1 3, 2 1s are 2. Then we have to subtract these both numbers, that is 3600 minus 236, that is, let's borrow 4 6 9 6 5 3 3. The answer of this is 3364. So the square value of 58 is 3364. In this way you can find the square of any numbers that are ending with 2 or 8. Next squaring technique we have, that is square of a number whose last digit is 3 or 7. Now let's understand the square of the number ending with 3 with an example question, that is we have to find the square of 23. So what we can do, what we have to do in the first step is we have to do the square of the nearest multiple of 10. What is the nearest multiple of 10 to 23? That is 20. We have to do the square of these number, that is 400. Now what we have to do, we have to do thrice of the sum of the given number. What is the sum of what is the given number? The given number is 23 and the nearest multiple of 10 is 20. We have to do the sum of these numbers, 3 of 43. Then what is the thrice of these number? 3 3s are 9, 3 4s are 12. Then what we have to do, we have to do the addition of these numbers, step 1 and step 2. 400 plus 129, 925. The square of 23 is 529. Now in the same way we can square of the number ending with 7. What we have to do, we have to, let's understand this with an example question, that is we have to find the square of 47, that is 47 square. In first step what we have to do, we have to write the nearest multiple of 10 for this. What is the nearest multiple of 10 for 247? That is 50. What we have to do, we have to write 50 square, that is 2500. In the second step what we have to do, we have to subtract thrice of the given number, that is what is the given number? 47, and the nearest multiple of 10 is 50. So what is the value of these? Equals to minus 3 of 47, which is equals to 97. So 97 into 3, 97 into 3, 3 sevens are 21, 1, 2, 3 nines are 27 plus 2, which is equals to 291. What we have to do now in the third step, we have to subtract these and these, which is equals to 2500 minus 291. Then what will be the value for these? The value for these is 2209. At last, what we have is the properties of the square. I will explain you the properties of the squares. That is, if the unit digit of the number is 0, then the unit digit of the square of the number will also be 0, and the number of zeros will be double in the square that than that of its root. Now the second property we have, if the unit digit of a number is 5, then the unit digit of the square is also 5, and the number formed by last two digit, that is 25. Now next property we have, if the unit digit of any number is 1 or 9, then the unit digit of the square of the number is always 9. If the unit digit of any number is 2 or 8, then the unit digit of the square of its number is always 4. If the unit digit of any number is 3 or 7, then the unit digit of the square of the number is always 9. The next property of square we have is the square of any number is always positive irrespective of the nature of the given number. The next property we have, the number with the unit digits 0, 1, 5, 6 always gives the same unit digits respectively of on squaring. The next property of square we have is 2, 3, 7 and 8 never appears as unit digit in the square of the given number. I will explain you all these properties with an example questions. Like the first property we have is with number 0, like we have square 10 square, which is equals to, if we know that 10 square is 100, which means if the unit digit is 0, the square of the unit digit will also be 0, but the number of zeros will be double. Now I will explain the second property. This is for first property, and the second property is that if the unit digit is 5, like let's take an example of 25 square. So the square of the numbers unit digit is also 5, like 25 square, we know that 625, we know the square of 25 is 625. So the unit digit of these is also 5, and the last two digits will be 25. Now the third property I'm going to explain, that is, if the unit digit is 1 or 9, then the unit digit of the square of the number is, let's understand this property with a basic example. That is, we know 1 square is equals to 1, 9 square which is equals to 81, which means its square and its unit digit will always be 1. Now the fourth property we have is, if the unit digit of any number is 2 or 8, then the unit digit is always 4. Let's understand this property with an example question, that is 2 square and 8 square. 2 square is 4 and 8 square is 64. When we do the square of these numbers, what we are getting? We are getting the unit digit as always 4. Now let's understand the next property with an example question, that is, if the unit digit is 3 or 7, that is, let's do the square of 3 and 7 square, that is 3 square is 9 and 7 square is 49. The unit digit will always be 9 of the square. Now let's understand next property, that is, if the unit digit of any number is 4 or 6, then the unit digit will always be 6. Let's take an example question, that is 4 square and 6 square. What is the value of 4 square? The value of 4 square is 16 and 6 square is 36. We have seen here from here that the unit digit is always 6. Now let's understand the next property with an example question, that is, if the square of any number is always positive irrespective of the nature of the given number. Let's understand this property with an example question, that is minus 2 square. How we can write this? Minus 2 into minus 2, minus into minus plus 2 2s are 4. If you write 2 square, what we can write? 2 into 2, which is equals to 4. Irrespective of the sign, the number is always positive. Now the next property, we can understand that the number with unit 0, with unit 0, with unit 5, with unit 6 always gives the same unit digit respective of the squaring, and you will never see, and the next property we have is that you will never see 2, 3, 7 and 8 as a unit digit, unit digit of any square.